2015 meeting of the Boston Council. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcements. I have an email from the Secretary of State's open meeting website indicating that this meeting was hosted on August 25th at 2:45 p.m. So we are in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. And I received a phone call from the solicitor just before the meeting. She's going to be about 15 minutes late, but she will be here. Is there anyone signed up for public comment?
No.
No one signed up for public. Okay. Minutes?
I can't make the motion because I was not here, so I need to abstain.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to accept the minutes for August 13, 2015.
Discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
No, it doesn't.
Motion carries 4-0, one abstention. Unanimously, everyone who attended that meeting. Payroll warrant, number 6.
I make a motion that we accept payroll warrant number 6 in the amount of $28,610.76.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Payroll warrant number 7.
Make a motion that we accept payroll warrant number 7 in the amount of $34,652.28.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. General warrant 27.
Make a motion that we accept general warrant number 27 in the amount of $14,219.41.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. General warrant number 4.
Make a motion that we accept general warrant number 4 in the amount of $80,721.57.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Monthly reports.
Make a motion that we accept the following monthly reports for the month of July as presented. Building and Zoning Department, Department of Public Works, Finance Department, Human Services, Planning Department, Police Department, Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation, and Tax Assessors.
Discussion on any of the monthly reports. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. The quarterly reports are actually not in the packet. The ones that are listed here are the ones that are past due, but none of them have come in, so there's no action to be taken here. It's just for reference. And we can move to old business. First item is the EMA job description. So actually, this is something Mr. Rogers had asked that we put together, now that it's a paid position. Most of the wording was submitted by Gunther Bay, who drafted us a updated list of duties. And then I took his wording and I put it in the format of the existing Foster job descriptions. So this is available for approval or discussion. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for discussion purposes.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the job description for the Emergency Management Director as presented.
Is there a second? Okay, discussion?
Did the engineering board get the opportunity to review this?
Sorry?
Has the engineering board had the opportunity to review this in case they had any input?
No.
I don't think they will, that's just a thought.
I don't know. You change your pay limits?
Excuse me?
The weight? Did you change the lifting weight? Did you change it?
Yes, it changed the lifting weight based upon your comment that the OSHA and NIOSH suggest maximum lifting is 51 pounds.
Was it person, yes?
Yes, so it was changed to 51 pounds in this time. was reduced from 100 to 50.
Has our current EMA director seen it?
It was emailed to her?
Yes, she has.
She has.
She had a meeting on Tuesday, she had a meeting on Tuesday, meeting Sharon met on Tuesday. And she was
Okay, so she's okay with it? You're okay with it? Okay. The solicitor has also reviewed.
Does it disqualify our current EMA director?
I don't believe it does. The qualifications, the high school diploma, driver's license, CPR certification, FEMA certificates, Sharon has all of those.
Yes.
We'll ask her to submit copies of them to be put at town hall. Kelly has a folder for most of these books.
I assume she has all the, she's definitely EMT and driving license. I don't know about all the NIMS classes, but it's not a problem to take. It's all online courses. So,
I think she has taken them.
100, 700, 800, and so on.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we are to the Prism Streetlight Management Agreement. So if you recall, yes?
Could I just make a suggestion that we move this to the solicitor from that, because I know she was the one who had the concerns.
Absolutely. Okay, so
Could we just,
motion's been made to table it until such time as the solicitor arrives.
yes, thank you.
So, second, Mr. Hawes. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll put that aside. And the next item is the Charter Review Commission appointment.
I move that we appoint James Christopher for vacant spot on the travel.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, discussion?
Did we ask the two that applied? I believe one of them is still interested.
Did we ask the two that applied?
The two that applied that weren't voted in, and then we lost one unfortunately, but the other two, when I had mentioned, when I asked to have this put back on the agenda, that they were probably still interested, and I know one of them is here tonight and is still interested.
I don't know of any conversations that happened with previous applicants, so I guess I would say probably not.
Interesting.
Additional discussion? Mrs. Rogers? Mrs. Ryder?
I just want to say that as a member of the Charter Review Commission, it would be very helpful to have Jane, because many times we have questions, or the solicitor will have questions, and it's always, well, we'll check with Jane, I mean, has Jane run up against this, you know, that kind of thing. So I think that it'll be very helpful to have someone who is involved in everything and has been for quite some time.
I do have an additional, but there are things that are coming from the Charter Review Board that pertain, nothing against Jane, but it pertains to her position in the town, and other things that pertain to her. I think as a town employee, when you have volunteers that are not town employees that are willing to take the position, and they're being overlooked purposely, I think is a disgrace. And I will be voting no on this for that purpose.
Further discussion?
I have
Mr. Carey?
I don't have, I have a problem with Jane as a person. She's an employee of the town, but I do have an issue because the decisions that the review committee makes will possibly affect her job. I mean, I'm not, it's not a personal thing, I'm not playing politics or, it just doesn't seem proper to me. I don't know, it should be a committee of people in the town, it shouldn't really be employees. I mean, if she's there at the meetings, you know, that's always welcome, but it just, as a voting member of the committee, it seems a little odd. You know, I'm not political at all, I don't get involved in that type of thing, I don't play politics with my decisions on my board, but I do see a conflict with us there, and I just wanted to relay that to you, because I do see where there is a kind of an issue there, I think.
Okay. Mrs. Brown?
I would just say that at this time, there is nothing under discussion that pertains directly to her job. Initially, there was something, but we have pushed that aside. That's no longer a discussion. And she is an elected official.
Not important.
Right.
Further discussion?
I'd like to
say something.
Go ahead.
Because we're talking about, I offered to step in and do this if no one else was going to be considered. And I would be very happy to serve if that is the decision of the council, but I'm not going to feel insulted if anybody, if the decision goes the other way.
They ask who, oh, I guess I can't ask that.
No, I just want to say that I know that the two other people that had applied, I didn't know, I don't think Dr. Williams, the other one, I don't think anyone can question their knowledge of the town, excellent years of what can be done to improve upon it, and I think either of them serve well on the charter review committee. That said, what I found, I think, most attractive about Jane serving on the committee is that I don't think anyone can call into question a party affiliation or any attachment to any one particular group or set of ideas in the town. I think her knowledge of the shortcomings or rooms for improvement in the town hall could offer a valuable perspective. And my impression is that her reputation for being independent and fair is pretty unusual.
I move to move the question.
Is that a motion?
We've got a motion already. Hold on,
Well,
hold
to
on.
move the question, you need a vote, Roger.
I think, do we have any further discussion? We haven't even gone through that one, I don't think we need to cut it off if anyone has.
I just think, we reiterate, this is politics at its worst. Those two people, I know one of them has called at least one council member here and said she was still interested in the position. And it's clear. For certain people are pushing their weight around to make sure that certain people don't make it on board. And for this council to go along with that is upsetting to me. And that's why I'm always odd man out, I'll continue to be odd man out, because it's not the right thing to do.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Jane Christopher to the Charter Commission signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2. Okay, going on to new business. Additions and abatements from the tax assessor.
Make a motion that we accept the following recommendations of the tax assessor for tangible abatements in the amount of 12 cents, real estate abatements in the amount of $5,123.66, motor vehicle abatements in the amount of $1,985.48, motor vehicle additions to, motor vehicle additions for the amount of $173.92.
Second. Did you second? Discussion?
Yeah, I got a discussion. I know a lot of times people look at a large amount of abatement question. I'm going to work with other people. Somebody actually came in for an abatement, overvaluation on a cloth knife for 12 cents.
Oh, we did.
And how long was that conversation?
That conversation was, well, at least 3 phone calls.
Just had to ask that, because that one, I saw that. Is that right?
Further discussion on these payments? Additions and payments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to tax collector abatements.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation by the tax collector for the following abatements for motor vehicle in the year 2009, $79.55, 2010, $348.88, 2011, $352.87, 2012, $36.84, for a total of $818.14.
Mr. Hawes, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Now we'll do the bid opening next.
So we'll jump back to the prison thing?
Well, I want to give her
I'm fine, whenever you're ready.
time to set up. She's going to bring up her computer. So I'll do the bid opening for the Johnson Road Culvert Repair Project. And we have 3 bids in front of us this evening. The first one is from CLH and Son Incorporated from Auburn, Maine. Total amount of the bid is $32,327. Second bid is from New England Building and Bridge Company, Greenville, Rhode Island. Total bid $48,500. Is from RT News and Sons of West Warwick, Rhode Island. $78,870.
Can you repeat that amount again?
$78,870. 78870. Okay, motion to refer these to the Public Works Director for review and recommendation. Your second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Renee, we tabled the prison agreement.
Sure.
Until you arrived, because we had some comments at the last meeting, and Denise asked that we table it until you arrived. So, it was referred, if you remember, it was referred to the solicitor, and the solicitor and myself have been communicating with the folks at prison, both Jeff Roy and Mr. Dennis, who's here this evening, to ask us any questions, answer any questions we may have. And this is a revised agreement that I believe addresses the solicitor's liability questions, and I'm going to let her weigh in on it first, and then we can all have questions about it.
Well, I have to say thank you to John Lewis, because he actually came up with a brilliant way of doing this. I was concerned, based upon my background, that not so much what prison would do today going forward, but that if we joined a consortium of people, or of towns in this case, that we may be liable. So when you profit and you share in dividends, you're also liable by the same token. And any old streetlights that were being collected or changed could end up in the wrong hands, which happened in a case I was involved in the United States District Court with Boston Edison, and everyone, it's cradle to grave regulation. So actually, it was the PCB capacitors that I was worried about, not in anything you would do, but in the past, streetlights that may come in from large cities and towns we have no control over. And John Lewis actually came up with, I think, a brilliant way around it, that we could accept the services and participate in the program while minimizing, in my view, we'll see, any liability to the town should something occur that's out of your control. Old streetlights found in one socket that end up in the wrong place. And maybe we don't have a seat on the board, but numbers-wise, I don't think that affects us very much. And I was happy with all the changes that we made. We really went over it a few times, and I appreciate your help and your staff. So I was happy with it as it sits now.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work on this.
So would you be able to recommend that that we sign this contract this evening as it is presented?
Yes, because it puts us in a slightly different position than the original.
May I ask, maybe I had a brain freeze or something. I missed your brilliance here. Was it mentioned or was it, did I miss it?
I don't think she mentioned.
It was actually an idea that John had to approach it differently. He helped me to approach it differently, at somewhat of a vendor's, in a way for them to be a vendor and us not to be in part of this consortium, so that if there is a liability, we are so minimal involvement here. Why should we participate in that? So as much as we could, we retain any benefit and we can use the services. They will get fees accordingly. However, if in fact something happens, I expect to be able to argue, defend, and say, look, we are not part of this full consortium. We merely purchase services, they provided them, and they were paid like any other vendor.
And that was the idea.
That was the idea.
Why can't we use them as a vendor as opposed to join their consortium? So it's a different type of relationship whereby we don't bear joint liability with the consortium because we're not on the consortium. We're purchasing services from a vendor.
Thank you. Well, I just want to miss it.
It was right.
Okay, so is there a motion to accept this contract with Prism?
I would make a motion that we accept this agreement, the recommendation of the solicitor.
Okay, second by Mr. Holt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Do we have an original contract? Please.
We can email them up and,
I mean, these are email copies, so.
or we can send you, print out, or I can drop them overnight and get them up to you.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
And I'll send you
So we have a nice
to
clean.
the solicitor or to the clerk or what?
To the town clerk would probably be the most expedient.
Very good.
And as soon as you receive it, I'll get it executed, sign it, and move forward.
I'm here to answer any questions that the council may have about the process. There were a few things that came up, such as, do you control where the lights go? You control everything. We are working at your, to accomplish what you want to accomplish within the town of Boston. And I can say that right now we're about 46,000 out of 100,000 streetlights in the state of Rhode Island. We're about the 20th community out of 38. So we're very happy to be here to serve you and look forward to it. There will be an invoice that we will submit to the town clerk for $20, which is $1 a streetlight. And then we'll ask for a month, any month of electric bills, and then we'll come back in about 6 weeks with a preliminary streetlight report, which will tell you what things you can expect to receive out of this, and then if you decide to move forward, then we can go to the next phase, which would be to actually purchase the streetlights and to order any updates to the lights that you would like. This is absolutely in your control, and that's the way it is with all our customers. And I appreciate the town solicitor's work in May and June on educating me in particular on the situation that she faced in Boston. And I was wondering if she would mind if you could see the work that we put together for that, just to see what we went through. It would be entirely up to her. It was very educational for me personally about PCBs, and I think the work that we did demonstrates our ability to want to satisfy all of our cities and towns in the state of Illinois.
And again, we never had any concern about PRISM itself, but as you understand, we can't maybe control what's going on and is still going on in other cities and towns. The other concern I wanted to express to the council that we did discuss, and we were assured that's not an issue. They will present a plan to put streetlights in Foster, and I expressed that Foster is a rural community and wants to continue to be a rural community. So we did not want to see a plan that has streetlights every 200 feet or 200 yards in some of these dirt road cities around town. It's not a city. So they assured me that they're not going to present us with a plan to install too many streetlights beyond what we would like here in our
It
city.
would be exactly what you want. We will not dictate anything to you except to help you save money and to make a difference in the lighting that you will see in the streets of Boston. And actually reduce some of the lights, which I talked to the councilor here about our dark sky ordinance in Charleston. So we are on the same page.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Getz while he's here?
Thank you very much. I'll get that in the mail to you tomorrow, and appreciate your support. We'll be back to you in 6 weeks or 2 months with the preliminary report based on your scheduling and our finishing the plans. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a poll petition on Balcom Road. We have a recommendation from the Public Works Director.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Public Works Director for the petition of the placement of the 3 new joint poles, 35, 36, and 37, on Balcom Road with a 4-foot setback from the road shoulder.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The last item under new business. This is a resolution, and you'll see that it's attached is one exactly the same from Gloucester from back in October, along with a letter from the Gloucester Town Clerk asking us and other towns, I suppose, to support this. This is a resolution requesting a change in state law to remove the $10,000 exemption from taxes for Brown University professors. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it. Resolution 2015-07 of the Boston Town Council, subject in opposition to RI General Laws 44-3-3, Section 9, taxation. Whereas in 1764, the Brown University Charter, King George III granted an exemption from taxation of property for the university and its professors. And in Rhode Island's public laws of 1863, Chapter 451, this exemption for professors, their estates, and their families was limited to the first $10,000 in assessed value of their personal property. Whereas in 1966, the Board of Directors of the university voted to require newly appointed professors to waive their right to this exemption, and at the time there were 9 professors grandfathered in. And whereas the law allowing this exemption, Rhode Island General Law 44-3-3, Section 9, taxation is still an active Rhode Island General Law. And whereas to avoid confusion and/or the right of someone to claim this exemption in the future, the town of Foster is asking our legislators to repeal the subsection in its entirety. And now therefore be resolved The town council of the town of Foster respectfully requests our legislators to call for the repeal of RIGL 44-3-3, Section 9 during the next legislative session, and the town council requests this resolution to be forwarded to all Rhode Island cities and towns with a request for their legislative support. So this is just asking for the repeal of that particular law, that particular exemption. The tax assessor checked, and there's currently no one in the town of Foster that takes advantage of this. There's not likely to be a backlash in this town. But, it seems like when we're looking at the issues of taxation and exemptions, that it seems a reasonable thing to do. So I asked Jimmy to put this on a resolution, and that's what's in front of me. Is there a motion to approve? I'd be happy to make a motion to approve this.
Make a motion to approve the resolution for the town, for the Foster Town Council, Resolution 2015-07, in opposition to Rhode Island General Law 44-3-39, taxation.
Any discussion?
Yes, Denise just raised something, and I quickly brought up the statute, 4433. But I think what she's looking at is the second whereas says 1966. While I don't have any vote of the Brown University, I have the statute, and under subsection 9, it says that this exemption should not have been utilized for a period ending on or after December 31st, 1996. So Denise was wondering, and it sounded very good, that this may be 96, not 66. So maybe, Jane, you want to check with the other clerks?
It does say 66 in
In
Gloucester.
theirs, so that could be a mistake.
But when I went back and looked at I looked it up, it said 96, but I'm not sure whether they're the same date, if you will.
It doesn't say the vote was 96, but it does say the effective date of this would be December 31st, 1996, actually, so
I do have it from the law.
that sounds like it should be what is in the
So
resolution.
they voted that 30 years later, they can't.
It's possible that Brown voted in 1966, but the legislature changed the law in 1996.
Correct.
So
So I don't have their information, but
I was just curious as to,
we'd have to see the vote at Brown for when they made that action.
If that paragraph is questionable, I think we could eliminate that entire second whereas paragraph, and it would still maintain the integrity of the document and the request.
You want that as an amendment?
That's a suggestion, yeah, people like to do it.
Make an amendment that we exclude the whereas that stated here in 1966, the Board of Directors of the University voted to require newly appointed professors to waive their right to this exemption, and at that time, there were 9 professors ran on and be removed from strict from the resolution.
Okay, is there a second on that amendment?
Second.
Okay,
What would be the number again?
to take this paragraph out. It still maintains the same thing, it just doesn't refer to the Brown University vote, which we don't have any proof of other than what Boston tells us. Discussion on the amendment? Patty?
I was under the impression in 1996 that it grandfathered in any professors that were already on the exemption, and no new professors were able to apply for the exemption. It just grandfathered who was already on, and from that point on, there's very few left that have the exemption, but they've either retired by now or, but anybody new from Brown University was not eligible for that exemption anymore.
That's correct. But what I think we're saying is, I tend to suspect that the Brown vote came around the same time as the public law, that's saying 1996.
So I'd also like to add, if this resolution passes, if this resolution isn't acted on, Brown University next year can make a vote to allow them to be.
Correct.
So-
Correct, I'm not saying,
Right,
I'm just
so-
saying what
This is
I
straight
was
from the
told,
legislative
I just had a question about the discrepancy in the 2 dates.
Yeah.
And wasn't sure whether they were referencing each other or if there was a misprint, if you will.
Okay, so the amendment to the motion is to strike the second paragraph where the questionable date is present. All those in favor of the amendment? Aye, amendment carries unanimously. Back to the main motion. Further discussion on adopting the resolution as amended? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, motion carries unanimously. Okay, so we get that written up, revised and signed and sent out next week. Okay, that brings us to our public hearing. So we have 2 zoning ordinance amendments in front of us this evening for public hearing. The first one is corner lots. To let everyone know, there are copies of all of these amendments up here on the front table, if anyone wants to grab a copy or if they're interested. The first one is corner lots. The amendment's intent is to clarify the minimum frontage, as well as to clarify what constitutes the side yards of a particular lot. Description of uses. This amendment's intent is to agree with the prohibited uses list and clarify permitted versus prohibited uses. So those are the 2 things that are in front of us this evening.
Prohibited uses.
Excuse me?
Should have prohibited uses also.
Let me see. I don't have it in my packet. Prohibited uses, okay.
Yes.
Good luck. Okay, I'll borrow from Steve's. The third one is prohibited uses. The amendment's intent is to revamp the regulations regarding prohibited uses to be more comprehensive and clear, specifically to consolidate where possible, correct typos, update the wording for dumps, update the wording for sewage treatment facilities and incinerators, update exceptions for vehicle washing shops to take advantage of existing technology, reference associated regulations, agree with the description of uses use table, and to add language regarding permitted versus prohibited uses mirrored in the description of uses. And so those are all appropriately advertised.
I have a question,
Yes?
and again, you're saying 3 ordinances? Is that like?
Well, there are 3, this is corner lots and then prohibited uses / dash description of uses.
Oh, okay.
It's bringing
Thank you.
those 2 into sync with each
I
other.
got it now, thank you.
Affects
So we do have 3 summaries,
Mhm.
and it's bringing those 2 into sequence. And it was advertised. Okay, so I will now open the public hearing. Are there any comments from the audience in favor or, let's do in favor of any of these? Mr. Bay?
Question about brewery and distillery. So just in case maybe the restaurant on Route 6 gets a new owner and wants to make a microbrewery in it, we cannot do it. Or is it a general, or I need to get a permit for it?
Brewery attached to a restaurant is set as a listed.
A brewery attached to a restaurant is separately listed, so it's not excluded? Is that correct?
Microbrewery attached to or maintained as part of a restaurant is special use permit in the AR zone and C zone, GBM, and manufacturing industrial, and prohibited in residential, senior citizens, and municipal zones.
because of the food.
Mrs. Ryder?
Does this affect, I don't know if anybody does, but if anybody has a home brewery, apparently brewing your own beer is a big thing now?
The only reason that this is being struck in some of the use table is because it's already listed as prohibited in the prohibited uses list. So there's no need for the redundancy.
A home brewery wouldn't be selling to the public, hopefully.
Okay, so as long as you're not.
As long as you're consuming it yourself.
No, no, so
Make
as
your
long as
own
you're not
money.
selling to the
Yeah,
public.
you're not a business.
You're not, so.
And correct me if I'm wrong, exactly being struck was just a line that made clear it was prohibited in all laws. That's what the O's are.
The O is prohibited,
Yeah, so it's not actually changing, it's just.
She's removing the redundancy.
Any other comments from the audience? In favor? Any in opposition? Okay, I'm hearing none. Any comments at all?
Just with respect to the amendment that was proposed, just to get the,
Okay, go ahead.
so I understand that Juliana, there were some changes to the front and side yard requirements for corner lot.
Well, the way it was originally proposed and advertised for the public hearing is specific for corner lot with 4 sides. And now obviously the 2 on the road would be the front and the other 2 would be the side yards. However, there are lots that have 5, 6, 3. And so the proposed change would just be to clarify that if there's 2 sides, and not mention 4 sides at all, but if there's 2 sides that are not on a road but adjacent to those front yards, that those would be the side yards and be subject to the side yard requirements.
So just to get that, I guess what I was doing, a public portion of the public hearing, that I mentioned considered. I was also going to propose an amendment to the prohibited use table, to include hydrographs as well.
Exclude, or to add.
To add to the list, so that hydrographs is prohibited use in the town.
Hydro.
You can't get
Hydro.
fracking. Fracking. Frack.
Yeah.
Fracking.
I would,
F-R-A-C.
I would have flexibility to add more water on the road, I would try to increase the water.
So hydrographic for the removal of gas and.
Because there's many times they frack a well to increase the water, so if you would say, fracking, somebody just spent $6,000 on a well and 800 feet, and the other alternative is to hydrofrack it, would be allowed.
So if the word said, no hydrofracking for purposes of extraction of oil or gas, that would be reasonable. Okay. One more time, any further comments? Hearing none. I will close the public hearing. Okay, so now we're bringing it back to the council. Before there are any motions to accept, if there are any amendments, we should deal with those first. So we should amend before we move to adopt. And we should deal with these things one at a time. First corner, doesn't matter what order, but corner lots, then description of uses, prohibited uses, we will do each of them separately. So is there an amendment to any of these or a motion?
Make the amendment in the form of a motion.
Yes, we amend it, and we approve the amendment. If, and after the amendment passes or is voted on, then we'll vote on adopting the ordinance either as original or as amended, depending on how the vote goes.
I would make a motion to amend the proposed corner lot ordinance, so the text is consistent with the language proposed by Juliana.
Yes, why don't you do that? Read it very exactly.
For the purposes of complying with Article 4, Section 13, minimum lot frontage on both roads shall comply with minimum lot width for the district of location. All of the dimensional regulations of Article 4 shall apply, except that in the case of corner lot with, in the case of corner lot with 2 sides,
The other 2.
in the case of a corner lot with 2 yards not fronting on roads but adjacent to the front yards, those 2 yards shall be side yards and comply with the side yard depths of the district of location.
You're amending it to read in that fashion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on amending the corner lot ordinance? Hearing none, all those, hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. The proposal has been amended. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance as amended this evening? Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Corner lot ordinance adopted as amended. Okay, description of uses or prohibited uses, an amendment or a motion?
I would make a motion to amend the prohibited uses to include hydrofracking for the purpose of oil or gas extraction.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on this amendment.
Is it ever also used for, well, quarrying, which I know is against, but I mean, if you have a gravel pit, is it ever used for that also?
I don't know of the use for that. Does anyone?
Wouldn't be
Not in this area, we don't have the water resources to do such endeavor.
It's usually when you hydrofrac, you're not digging down to that level, you're putting compressed oil underground, so I don't know when pouring, you wouldn't be taking that stuff out.
They wash, they don't hydro with, they wash.
Or rather than dig out a rock or blow it up? And that they would,
That would be commensurate with what they do. They're causing probably,
Pretty much too much TV, they did that on, up in Alaska, doing the gold line. We don't do that
we had a gold mine, you never know.
any agricultural uses?
The only thing about I can say at the moment is oil sand. The second one is a sand that contains oil, but you don't get it so.
Okay, further discussion on this amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending the prohibited uses to include hydrofracking for purposes of oil and gas extraction, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed?
I mean, just, oil, it's in the
Motion carries unanimously. Now, is there a motion to accept the prohibited uses?
I do have one question.
Okay.
Commercial laundry, accepting a laundry master laundry for Article 4, Section 10.5. What's that? It's highlighted.
Because it's highlighted because it was moved, it was wrongly advertised, and also because we added the laundromat caveat.
Just so you know, commercial laundromats are not allowed by state law into a septic system, only a commercial, only a sewage treatment system, which would be a large system, so we don't have any sewage in town, so.
Well, yeah, a business could come in and do their own
Only with,
community type of.
only way they would allow it is that, like in a car wash, where they completely recycle all the water they use, which would have no effect on the environment.
Well, there's an amazing amount of discussion about what constitutes a commercial laundry versus a laundromat. It went on for more than 1 meeting.
I'm sure it did.
So this was sort of just.
But at the end of the day, they're not allowed in a septic system, and that's all we have in the town of Boston.
Gray water, you're not allowed.
So it may be redundant, but it doesn't, if it's not, you can use it for one.
No, because we may get one someday. And then it's a
Is there a motion to adopt the prohibited uses ordinance as amended this evening?
So moved.
For a second? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And finally, third, description of uses. Is there an amendment or a motion?
I was waiting to see if he was making an amendment.
No.
No.
That's just clarifying.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept the zoning ordinance amendment summary, description on the ordinance amendment and of ordinance entitled Town Forester zoning ordinances for the description of uses.
Discussion?
What is the description of a brewery? What is the definition? I'm just wondering, is something like Nickel Creek not a brewery because it's wine?
It's a winery.
It's a winery.
Yeah.
So a brewery is everything else except that?
I think brewery is beer.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
different
Maybe
process.
ale, maybe cider, but it's not wine.
But
The
distillery
distillery is whiskey.
Distillery.
Every time.
Yes.
Okay,
Hard
good
liquor.
to know.
You gotta take yours down.
Yeah.
Come on, it's, hey, maybe your grandfather.
Maybe I'm grandfathered in, that's it.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously, description of uses is adopted. Includes that, future agenda items. The list is shrinking, we're crossing things off. The police station update will be on as soon as we get the report back from the architects. The chief and I met with them. They're going to give us a written proposal as soon as we have something to discuss that will go back on the agenda. Are there any other future agenda items?
Just for one, the water supply board settlement, I know it was moving through the city, I'm not sure if it's been fully executed, but I know that some people expressed an interest in at least getting a summary once it's all finalized.
I
think
think Juliana does that.
Requires council action.
Not eligible, but information.
Okay. We don't have, no one's saying we don't have it. We don't have a sign. Any other future agenda items? Hearing none, there is no need of executive session this evening. As our we're concluded
Thank you.
last night. I will accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.